Hey guys, it's Greg with Buy the Bootstraps, b2bootstraps.com. Check out the store, check out the social media, the Facebook page, description will be below, so will the links. I'm making a video today because this Jussie Smollett guy, I made several videos about his whole situation that was going on in Chicago that happened earlier in January. How he came out and claimed he was attacked by two white Trump supporters in the middle of Chicago at 2 o'clock in the morning on a frigidly cold night, and he claimed they were screaming racial epithets and that they were, screaming homophobic slurs and things like that. Well, a 2-week investigation ensued. I'm sure everyone knows the story, but a 2-week investigation ensued, and he was eventually charged with 16 felony false allegation and other crimes that were associated with it. And then today, out of the blue, we get a story from all the major news networks saying that he was dismissed essentially from all of his crimes. Please make him stop. I mean, the judge and the prosecutor for this case dropped the charges. 16 felony counts, just dropped them. And his only reprimand was that he was going to donate the $10,000 he paid for his bond to the city. He had a $100,000 bail. You only pay, I think, 10% of that, so that was $10,000. And they accepted that and they let it go. It was so bad that when he got charged, that the chief of police came out and pretty much said that, this is a pretty cut and dry case, and based on all the investigations and all the man hours and the resources that went into this, he was almost conclusively sure that Jussie Smollett had made up this entire event. False hate crime. Alright, a pretty serious charge. Should be a serious charge. The man should be sitting in jail for a very long time. His career should be ruined. His status in life of who he is and his celebrity, infamy or whatever you want to call it, it should be completely demolished. I mean, by his own doing. I mean, when the chief of police, who is also a black guy, comes out and eviscerates you based on the evidence, and his disgust at, the crime he perpetuated, that ought to be a pretty good telltale sign that, there's some serious allegation, there's some serious legitimacy to this. But instead, the prosecutor, without informing the police chief, without informing the mayor, without informing any of the players that were involved in this whole entire investigation, they let it go. And Jussie Smollett walks out, says he's exonerated, but he's not exonerated. They just dropped the charges. That's not the same thing as exoneration. And on top of that, proclaims that this was this all was a setup. It was a hoax. He never did this, even though, again, you have the police chief and the 19 investigators that were taken off of other cases just to investigate this case for 2 weeks. Who knows what was missed, what they didn't see in Chicago, and what they didn't focus on because they were focusing on this false hate crime allegation. They let him walk. I mean, Rahm Emanuel, the mayor, said that this was white trashing, the city. That it was a farce to justice, and that clearly there's two kinds of justice in America. Apparently, those who have money and fame and status, and those who do not. Makes you wonder what would happen if any Joe Schmo down the road would have made these allegations and would have been charged with 16 felony crimes, and what would have happened to us? Particularly if we weren't, a minority, or gay, or judged or based on our sexuality. It's disturbing. But then you have to ask yourself, why? Why? And not only did they do this, but then they also sealed his records. So I don't even know if the city can go to a higher court to pursue charges. I don't know how that all breaks down in legal talk and things like that. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But I mean, it's pretty cut and dry of what happened. And for this actor, this false hate crime accuser, to come out and pretend that all of this never happened, even though there's sufficient evidence that's even been released to the public to show that, dude, you hired 2 bodyguards or bodybuilders who worked with you, who worked on your show as extras, who you paid them $4,000, well, $3,500 up front, and then he's to give another $500, and they're on surveillance camera buying the equipment for this supposed attack. For all of this to get swept under the rug. But again, you have to ask yourself, why? Well, today is Tuesday, was it 22nd? 23rd?
26.
26, okay, sorry. So it's Tuesday the 26th. Well, what came out Friday and Saturday and Sunday of this week? This last weekend? The Mueller report. And all day Monday. All the cable news networks, all TV, all media, we're talking about the Mueller report and how Donald Trump was not convicted, how there was no more indictments, and how there was no collusion with Russia, And now I know that a lot of Democrats and a lot of people are liberals and progressives are screaming, well, it doesn't matter what Attorney General Barr says because we haven't seen the full report yet. Yeah, well, when Mueller was hired to investigate Donald Trump for the last 2 years and $25+ million that had been wasted on this investigation, after all this time and after all this diversion and all this division within our country, they come back and say, yep, we can't indict him. There's no evidence to prove collusion. He's been exonerated, And the only thing that they can't exonerate him on, because it was deferred, was the conspiracy charges that they had, or obstruction charges, which they haven't charged him, but they haven't done anything against him in any way, shape, or form. So I guess you could say in that manner, yeah, he's been exonerated. But instead of taking the 4-page document from Barr, they want to scream that, oh, well, we don't know for sure because we haven't seen the full report. Well, basically what it is that for the last 2 years plus, we have been inundated with all these claims that the president has been in cahoots with Russia and that they work together to steal an election. And now after all this time, money, and energy, it comes out and they have to eat crow because there's nothing there to prove that the man did. So for wall-to-wall media, all you got was that, you guys were absolutely wrong. The media was a sham. The Democrats look like a bunch of hypocrites, especially some of their head Democrats who were walking around screaming like, I've seen the evidence, I've seen it, well, where is it then? Because, Mueller, who you guys praised as being, the savior of this country, the one who's going to take Trump down, he comes back, and they all said this man was an honorable man, this man was a trusted man, he would do his due diligence, and then he comes back with his report, and he doesn't indict the president. So what do we hear now? Oh, well, he can't really be trusted because he's a Republican. Excuse me? I thought you guys were just like no more than last week saying he's the greatest thing ever. Now you're coming out saying that he's bad? But this Jussie Smollett guy gets, he gets let off scot-free for no seemable reason that we have seen any evidence of or any communication of. Still the records, and it just so happens to be the very next day after the first day of the news cycle regarding the Mueller case. My wife and I say to each other all the time that there's no such thing as coincidence. Things happen for a reason. I'd like to know. I'd like to know where this prosecutor stands. I'd like to know what money has been exchanged, what promises have been exchanged to do whatever they could to silence up this Mueller investigation, and to get the news coverage off of this Mueller investigation and making the news media look like the complete buffoons that they are. I don't know. It's intriguing, and it's a slap in the face of all these police officers who had to work all these extra hours and all this time trying to prove a hate crime allegation, which they gave him the benefit of a doubt at first. Proven, innocent till proven guilty. And these men and women, with giving him the benefit of a doubt, try to find where this event happened and to hold responsible those men who would have done this, just to find out that That's not how it happened at all. And that this so-called black gay actor, he committed his own crimes, essentially. You know, with all the crime that happens in Chicago as it is, it's just, what a disservice to that city, what a disservice to this nation. I can only see it as it's cover your ass at this point. You know, it's a farce. It's a complete joke. You know, because it makes me wonder what would happen if it was me. You know, what would happen if it was you? I highly doubt that Joe Smo would be treated in the same manner and swept under the rug. Anyway, comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you later.